Hi, this is Pat Moorhead with More Insights and Strategy. I am here with my awesome co-host, Melody Brue, Vice President and Principal Analyst for Modern Work. Mel, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. It's Friday. I'm feeling good. I've been in town for a week. I just feel
There.
like a new person. I went back and looked at the podcasts I did last week, and they were pretty bad. Okay. And I'm glad we didn't have one, either on the data center podcast or the hot desk pod. I try to be always up, but the trip to Korea and the trip to Seattle really kind of wore me out.
Well, that's a long way for you to go. But I saw you say something on, I think it was LinkedIn or something, where you were like, "Oh, not my best work," and somebody said like, "Well, your bad work is better than most people's good work," and I have to agree. So I
I
wouldn't
really
be
appreciate it.
I
People are
wouldn't
so
be too hard
kind.
on yourself.
I take this stuff seriously, and I like to do the best job at everything. It's a blessing and a curse. I grew up in the Midwest where it was literally, if it didn't make you miserable, it wasn't good for you. Um, and which, by the way, worked out. It worked out great. But as you get older, it's like, not everything is the most important thing out there, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, it's great to see everybody. It's been a couple of weeks. Both Mel and I have been traveling all over the place, but look at it like this: we travel, we get even more insights to give better opinions, better research on everything that we do. Hey, if you're new to the Hot Desk Pod, we cover exactly as it sounds like. We're covering the right tools, the right trends, trajectories for what people call the next new normal in modern workplace. Um, we are going to be talking about some publicly traded companies, so don't take any of this as investment advice. It's informational, it's educational, and we also try to make it a lot of fun. We got a great show for you. We're going to be hitting Zoom's terms of service for AI. We're going to be talking about RingCentral acquiring some companies. We're also, I think it came out in one press release, another RingCentral, some C-suite changes that were made. We're going to be talking about Five9 acquisition and my favorite part of the show. It's hot or not. All
Much.
right, let's dive in. Zoom's AI terms of service. What is all the kerfuffle? I did a Google News search on it today, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving.
It really is. It's funny. I think you'd have to be like under a rock to not have heard something about this. But the reality is that most of people who have used Zoom are absolutely unaffected by this. Really, because the terms that people are talking about are the ones that affect AI. And the only AI that is being used, or the only generative AI that is being used on Zoom right now, is in trial. And that those trials are being used by customers who are only using it if they are opting into it in a very active way. It's not like, "Oh, yes, I want to do that." It's just like when you get on a Zoom call and you're being recorded and it says, "Yes, call is being recorded." And
Right.
you have to accept, you have to hit yes, and you have to acknowledge that on both ends of the conversation. So I think what's happening here in reality is that they're sort of caught in this perfect storm of, there have been some privacy issues in the past with data. There are widespread privacy issues just in big tech in general. And then there's kind of this panic around AI, right? So there's all of these things
Yes.
happening. So
Yes.
there's that perfect storm. But then also, maybe they could have done a better job of just communicating it really straightforward. What they did do is, as soon as it became an issue, they came out and communicated it. So I think they did a really good job of doing that. Maybe they got a little, actually, the reality is I think they got ahead of themselves in putting those terms in, which is what freaked people out because it didn't affect the majority of their
Right.
users. But so they got ahead of themselves in that, but then sort of got behind in the messaging because it was like not explaining that it actually doesn't affect the majority of the users. So That's basically what happened. And like many things, if you read the headlines, the news outlets are just trying to make so much of this that doesn't really exist, where it's like, they're just trying to scare people. It's clickbait, a lot of it.
Yeah. You and I spent a whole lot of time in this. In fact, you met with the senior leadership team
Yes.
out at Zoom Perspectives. It's kind of a precursor to Zoomtopia,
Yes.
and got to know folks pretty well. Last year, I went as well. Spent a lot of time with Eric Yuan. In fact, both you and I were on with the COO of the company to walk through this. So this is
And
not
chief product
some
officer.
exactly. This is not a knee jerk response and kind of what we're looking at, but there is a lot of smoke here, and I do appreciate the company saying, "Hey, we probably could have done this a little better." But I
Mhm.
think in all this, you really have to, and this is some upfront, close and personal stuff that we get is we get to meet these people, right? And by the way, the one thing that generative AI is not going to replace is human intuition.
Mhm.
And as I always talk about, hey, one of the methods we have to assess a company and its future products is the senior management team.
Yep.
And their senior management team has been nothing but open, but nothing but honest with me. And
Mhm.
that means a lot. In fact, Eric Yuan gave me his cell phone number, right? He's like, hey, you need anything, you see anything, just contact me. Obviously, I haven't abused it. I think I used it once in a year. But that's the kind of company that they are. Now, the ringer that they went through during in 2020 with security kind of got people they wanted to relate to that because Zoom did make some issues on the security front. Now, where are they today? They're the highest federal defense level you can get, right? With our Department of Defense, they've come a long way, and quite frankly, it was probably a communications issue on the type of encryption they had. They they said they had one kind and they didn't, and they took and then it was Zoom bombing, which is that's not a security issue. That's more like, hey, I set up a meeting to let everybody in, including people who would Zoom bomb it. So I understand how we got there, and I'm with you. And if you've ever had a dog before and it gets like a towel and it like takes it and runs away, that's kind of where we are with AI. There's a lot of companies getting rich off of it. And again, this is Pat Moorhead, not necessarily Melody Brue, but once big tech companies who are looked at as evil start to make money, it's, hey, we need to make sure that we find some dirt somewhere. Okay. And whether it's self-driving cars, whether it's social media, by the way, a lot of that criticism is warranted.
Right.
And even in this case, in the security case, the company's like, hey, here's what I could have done better. We did it, but this is not like, oh, we're trying to pull a fast one on you. And I really appreciate what you said, which is it was such a small group of people, you know?
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. And, like you said, I was at Perspectives last week. I spent a lot of time with these people, and this was prior to this happening. And one thing that, it's as analysts, we get this access to people and we get information under NDA. This was prior to any of this coming out. So I kind of, you sort of get the behind the curtain scene. And one of the things that I came away from Perspectives was it's like I almost wish that people knew what I know about the company,
right.
because you come away from them with like they really are like there's no PR people there. There's nothing wrong with PR people. I love me some PR people, but there's nobody controlling the narrative. We're just having honest conversations, right? So there
And,
really is
and by the way, we're mature enough. I mean, we both have a lot of experience, and you need to be really good to put one over on us. And
right.
it's not just, oh, we got snowed by senior management. you and I have both been in executive management. We've been there and we've done it, and we maybe have had to do this prior in our careers. Well, we can smell this stuff out. So I just wanted to add that. I mean, if you're a Gen Zer watching, it's like, oh, you just believe what they tell you? No,
Right.
we can cut through. We can see any weird stuff that's going on. And by the way, being face to face, it's really hard.
It's harder to pull something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, let's move to the next topic. This is a great topic. I hope that this is not the hallmark issue, right? The issue that keeps on giving, and this thing just goes away. But let's move to the next one. RingCentral making a lot of announcements, buying companies. And wait a second, do we know a platform that's based on a company or owned by a company that they just bought?
Yeah, we're actually on it right now.
How about that? Yeah, we use StreamYard, folks, for those who wonder.
Yep. So StreamYard is kind of taking a little bit of a pivot towards the kind of more like the creator and influencer economy, if we're just going to use that term. And so RingCentral is focusing on, not focusing on, but adding to their video portfolio with events and Session, which is kind of an event engagement platform. And this is something that they could have built themselves, but with buying it from Hopin, they're getting the whole team, they're getting the customers, and they're getting a platform that people already know. So I think this was just a smart acquisition for them. It's always the question of build versus buy. And this was, I think it's a good one because people know it, right? It's like, we use StreamYard, so we're very familiar with it. If they can create a balance between sort of creating something within Hopin that is still familiar to Hopin users, but kind of tweak the UI so that RingCentral users also find it familiar, this is a total win for them. And then they have the team that is going to continue to kind of massage the product and grow with it as it evolves. So I think they're starting to really build up a full video platform, and it's at a time when people want to have events, people want to go back to doing events in person, but the budgets aren't there to do it.
Yeah, please, if anybody from RingCentral is watching, please don't blue jeans my StreamYard.
They actually didn't buy it. They didn't buy StreamYard. StreamYard is staying within Hopin.
Oh, yeah. Well, they are buying Hopin events though, right?
Yes.
Which does include StreamYard.
No, so Hopin is the company, and events and sessions are pieces of the company. They bought that. There is a partnership between RingCentral and Hopin.
Gosh, I'm glad you're running modern work swim lane and not me, because I was like, I took like the dog with a towel and like ran off with that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's why you've got a team, Pat.
I know, and I got a great team. I mean, what are you, like top 50 on the AR Insights most powerful analysts on the planet?
I am. That's pretty exciting.
And that's freaking exciting. It's so exciting.
Now we've got Will at number 5. So
I know. It's amazing. And by the way, I know you had a lot to do with this, but I don't want to give any of my secrets away. So anyways,
it's just a matter of having our website functional where all of our content is properly displayed. That's it.
I was sweating that out so badly. Anyways, hey, like I said, RingCentral in the news. We have C-suite changes. We have a lot of things going on here with a gentleman that I may know.
Yes, I believe you know him quite well. So I'm actually really excited to hear from you about this. It looks like, to me, RingCentral, they had this huge week. And I actually I got to go sit down with their executive team, have dinner with them. It was really nice. Got to hear all of this stuff beforehand under NDA. And I'm thinking, great earnings, all of this, some new products, this acquisition, all of these things happening. Sounded like, really good stuff to me. and the market did not respond well.
Too much at once, you think?
I think maybe just a little bit of a panic about the CEO change. So Vlad, their CEO, he founded the company. He is really just a titan of the industry. Their COO, Mo, also stepped down. He came from AT&T, just a really dynamic guy, really, super smart guy. I think there might be just a slight panic of that, and maybe it could be like what you said, a little too much at once, and maybe not knowing enough about the new CEO, which is why I want to hear from you about it, because from what you say, this guy's great. And maybe there's, I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of an adjustment to that. The market's going to, sort of correct itself. But I was surprised, especially with the company's earnings, that there would be this type of reaction.
Yeah, I think the reaction was primarily just too much at once. They were making acquisitions, C-suite shifts, and sometimes a company has to soften the beaches of how a new leadership team comes in, and when investors they can't put together a plausible thing. So, for instance, most CEOs their boards have replacement committees that you have a pretty good idea who the next in line is going to be, right? Mm-hmm. A succession plan. Mm-hmm. And then there's, okay, this person's been here for X amount of years, and they're telegraphing that they're leaving. And I think this one, maybe the beaches weren't softened up enough, and people just didn't understand it. No, I got to know Tarek at HPE, where he was the CFO for 5 years, and I was on the phone with him almost on a quarterly basis. Mm-hmm. Got to know him relatively well, and he's a solid guy, right? By the way, the other thing that may have come up was, well, wait a second, what is this guy from HPE coming in and doing this? Well, don't forget, he also has experience from Sprint, from Telstra, right, and Orange, right, mm-hmm. Carriers that, RingCentral actually has a lot of their distribution through these carriers. So right. I see it, but not everybody pops to LinkedIn immediately and so forth. So no, listen, I look forward for the two of us to spend more time with senior leadership, and hopefully we can make that happen at the first available time. I think it's very important for any new CEO to either, come out and make some statement about strategy. Okay. Mm-hmm. That is first and foremost. And by the way, it might even be, hey, I don't know yet. Give me 90 days, give me 120 days. I'm going to come back. But some CEOs come in that says, hey, I was brought in, the board loves the strategy. There's no change to the strategy. So right. We're, de-risk my partners, de-risk everybody in here. I've been brought in here. So yeah, a lack of understanding of why the previous CEO and founder left, and why the new CEO came in. Boy, I'm kind of glad I'm not in the middle of that anymore. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, but the great part is I can sense through press releases and how people react to kind of what may have happened behind the scenes. But hey, let's jump into some more acquisition talk here, but not RingCentral acquiring. This is Five9, cloud-based CCaaS provider. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Five9 just announced, I think this week, its intent to acquire Aceyus, which is a data integration and analytics, I guess software. I want to call it a platform, but I guess probably wouldn't call it a platform. What they do is they ingest data from all different data sources, and they're already a partner of Five9. So what they will do is allow businesses to transition more smoothly from legacy systems onto Five9's platform, especially as AI is, kind of more incorporated into the Five9 platform for like the customer analytics and everything. That's really important, that all of these data sources being pulled from different places doesn't become siloed. And I think, they talked about in the press release, like their large scale cloud migrations, making it faster, more seamless. So it sounds like they've been a partner for a while. And so now it's just, they're bringing them in. And I believe all of their employees are, again, like the last acquisition we talked about, all of the employees are now part of, or will be now, I think it's expected to close by the end of the third quarter. They will also be a part of Five9. So Five9's growing. I mean,
yeah, they're definitely growing. I had relationships with the CEO and the CMO who've already departed. So it's hard for me to get a read on this. I have not met their new senior leadership team. But if I just looked on a product and service basis, it makes sense, right? Aceyus is, they have the Aceyus platform, and I'm just going to read it right from their website. Context Center reporting and analytics dashboard designed to help businesses become more efficient and effective across all channels of communications with customers. And this looks like a fast track to add these capabilities to their services very quickly, and also maybe get this out of the hands of a competitor. Imagine that. Did they mention the size of the deal by chance?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Is this strikes me as maybe a smaller company. So we'll see. Maybe it's not going to need regulatory approval, but
yeah, I don't think so. I think it was like 80 employees that they mentioned would come along with the deal.
That's great. Yeah, maybe it was an acqui-hire. Who knows? We'll see later.
They definitely have the technology, and I think the biggest focus was kind of the technology and part of their sort of automated system for kind of self-serve customer service, that Five9 employs. So yeah, I don't think it was like some big, huge thing that's going to get blocked or anything.
Awesome. Hey, let's move to the next topic here. It is hot or not. Zoom's return to the office mandate. Mel, like we've got the ultimate remote technology company with return to office. Boy, everybody loves simple answers and simple reactions. Am I right?
Yes. It's so funny. First of all, I should have shown you this when we were talking about the Zoom perspectives. This is my new favorite. It's hard to see, so I'm going to go up focus. This hat says you're on mute. I got this hat at Perspectives, and I love it. So this is another thing where I feel like the media just like took it and blew it out of proportion. But Zoom is asking employees, some employees, not all, some employees to come back to the office, those that live within 50 miles of the office, 2 days a week. And they have made some changes to the office to like take down cubicles, make it kind of more of a collaboration space rather than, just coming in and, sitting at a desk only to be on Zoom calls. But I think more important than is the company that wants you to work hybrid or work remotely now mandating employees returning to the office. That to me isn't the question. To me, it's what is this signal for Zoom? It actually shows me that they're not just a video company, that they're actually taking their time to say like, okay, it's not all about video. They have chat, they have phone, they have whiteboard, they have email, calendar, all these other things. All of those things, their video solution was built when people were in the office. A lot of things that we use today were built when people were in the office. So, and you look at like what Amazon is doing, they're saying like, oh, we want people back in the office. Everybody's all up in arms about that. Then their leadership team admitted they have no data to support that. We don't know if people are going to be more productive or not, but what we do know, and what I think, maybe it's only anecdotally, But development teams do better when they're together. That's what I hear from customers all the time. So I think that this is a good sign of Zoom focusing on other products, knowing that they need to sometimes be together. Also, culturally, if you're trying to build up something, other than their core product, you got to be in the room together every now and then. They're not saying 100% of the time. It's just every now and then.
There's so many ways we can take this, and there's so many things come up. So when the first remote thing came out, and I'm not going to use the P word because we get a warning label put at the bottom of our video. I said what I think other people didn't say, was that when we're through the P word, we will be more back to the way that we did things than where we are right now. Like 80% reflexive will be back. And my fundamental belief and where I came up with this was, first of all, is human nature. Okay. In that it is human nature that we're going to be human, which, what does being human mean? Not everybody is as efficient and effective based on either the job they have, the maturity level that they have, and it depends. And then I looked at the technology. What does it really mean to replace? I mean, you're this tiny little cube right now. I really can't see I can't hear your intonations in your voice as well. I have no idea how you're sitting. I have no idea. The resolution is so low that I can't actually see some of the things that our brains use to determine context.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, if Zoom are all remote, that means they have nothing more they have to do. They're done.
Yeah.
Why would there even be a Zoom roadmap if all the technology is already available today to get like, they're done, right? I don't need any more products, right? And so Zoom should be, right, working on a vision that says, I want to make remote as good as in person. Now, the other thing that needs to happen is there needs to be management systems and tools like Microsoft Viva is an example. Like, how do you have people connected who need to be connected? How do you create a culture without, face to face? How do you onboard a new hire that's right out of college? How do you onboard a new hire and who is experienced? I mean, so there's so many things, and that it's not that, I'm just brilliant, but it was more like I saw these collisions and I tried to take out the noise of. Now, more incisive strategy, we have been remote for 12 years.
Right.
Okay. Who do I hire? I hire very experienced people, okay, who don't really need to be managed, right? And they really don't need to be mentored. If I need to mentor somebody, they're in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean mentoring, I don't mean, hey, how do I have a better voice outside? It's true mentorship.
Right.
And I don't think 50-year-olds need to be mentored. I mean,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah. And I think you're right. But also, there's always going to be a need for video conferencing. It's not necessarily going to be, within a company, but when I have a meeting with somebody outside of the company, I'm still going to use video conferencing. Not everything's going to go back to being all meetings in person, right? So there's still a need for video conferencing in any situation. But I think that I don't think that we're ever going to go back to everybody being entirely in the office. There's still going to be some form of hybrid work. I think that's here to stay. But I don't think that Zoom saying they're bringing people back to the office 2 days a week is the end of hybrid work. So,
Well, yeah, if you're within 50 miles either. And
right.
the last thing I want to say is I am very conscious and have empathy for people whose company said, we're going remote forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? You hired onto a new job because you were remote and now it suddenly is not remote. I think that's bad business. And I just don't, I think that's bad business practices and that's bait and switch. The
Yeah.
final thing I'll say is that I also said it's the type of work. The type of work that More Insights and Strategy does, it's very siloed. Okay,
Right.
it's very siloed. Analysts have their swim lane,
Mm-hmm.
and we come together through project management on projects.
Right.
So it's like more of a serial than a parallel type environment. And we're a small company.
Yeah.
We have 25 resources on a good day, on a big day or a big project. And I think the magic number is 100, where you actually have to have real systems to be able to manage the complexity of what we do. I mean, you're one of the biggest collaborators on the team, and you just go directly and collaborate with the other analysts. So,
Yeah.
anyways, great discussion.
And
I
we're on
don't
the
think,
road half the
yeah,
time anyway. So,
yeah, and it's kind of odd. I see most of the analysts, even those who live in Austin, at customer event
it's so
at
true.
tech events. So
Yeah.
it is weird. So hey, great show. Real quick, I don't know if you have your calendar in front, but what's your on the road business calendar look like?
So I actually have a fairly quiet rest of August. And I'm going to cross my fingers that it sort of stays this way for September. But I do have it. October becomes absolutely insane. I have Ceridian Analyst Summit. We have Zoomtopia, BoxWorks, which is box.com, Money 2020, WebEx, and then SAP Tech Ed. That is all in October.
That's great. Yeah, I have
So,
VMware Explorer coming up in 2 weeks. I got a Google Cloud Next the week after. I'm trying to take a week off in Colorado. I go to Salesforce Dreamforce in San Francisco. And the week after that, in 1 week, I do Intel, I do Intel in San Jose, Oracle in Vegas, and then a vendor I can't say anything about in New York uh, on Thursday. And then I hope to be back for a week. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. But no, it's good. I'm getting a lot better at traveling and not destroying myself. So
and this is why we're remote.
exactly. So hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you have any feedback, good or bad, you know where to find us on social media. We spend way too much on it. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets. Tell everybody if you like this podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. Have a good morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are on the planet. Take care.